Good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on Northwest Access TV. Happy to have St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith guesting with us today. And I should note, we're taping this show on Tuesday, June 18th. Good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
Just fine, thank you. Timing's a little off for people who will be watching this show, but obviously crime seems to have become a pretty big issue in St. Albans. And again, we're taping this show on Tuesday, June 18th, and as it happens tonight, Public Safety Forum scheduled for City Hall from 6 to 8 p.m. So I suspect you're going to see, I would think, a pretty good crowd for that.
Yeah, I'm hoping people come out. I think there's a lot for people to understand. You know, sometimes the police have the finger pointed at them. Sometimes it's the court system. Sometimes it's the legislators. And I would say that, you know, we had our council meeting last week, had about 30 or 35 people show up.
Which is sort of highly unusual. That's,
for sure.
That's a stunning number. Almost.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And
just pretty much all about crime issues? Was
everyone to the person was exactly that. And I would say that they all had a story to tell. They were all polite.
Wow.
You know, it was a good exchange, and I'm hoping for the same thing tonight. You know, I think if the more we hear about it, hopefully it becomes a priority. And I think things have to happen on the legislative end for sure.
Yeah.
But last week when those people showed up at the meeting, all of them were complimentary of our police force. They understand that they're overtaxed, and so they're, you know, I hear stories every day of people who have been impacted. My neighbor left the car at one of the convenience stores, ran in, got something off the counter, paid for it. 3 minutes, it was gone, and someone reached into her car and stole her purse.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I had my car at my house. One of my two old Corollas is a little tough to lock, and I'm going back some months now. But yep, someone got in, didn't have much stuff.
Right.
Anyway, but that. Yeah,
and we're hearing nonstop stories of that.
Really?
The boldness and how brazen the individuals are. It's you know, I heard another story of a gentleman who bought a sandwich at one of the convenience stores and got in his car and put his money and his sandwich on the passenger seat, and one female individual reached in and grabbed it and
really?
Said, "If you come after me, I'm going to yell rape."
Really?
Yeah, and I was Thursday night, I was in Walgreens, and I suspected this woman had a hood up and a bag. I followed her around for a little bit, and she stole stuff, and I pointed it out to the clerks. Yeah. And then she walked right out the door. I yelled to her, called the police. She just casually walked across the parking lot like she just paid for it and went about her business. I don't know if the police had any luck catching her, but from a long-time St. Albans resident, that's not the St. Albans we want. You know, I'm going to push hard for, you know, if we need to raise our budget and add a few more police officers. But once again, it's not just the police officers, because we can't hold them. There's no bail. That was changed 4 or 5 years ago.
I hear stories every morning on VMT about folks in Burlington who have been, you know, arrested, whatever, in some cases hundreds of times.
Yeah. I mean, we have one young woman, Megan Royer, I don't mind saying the name, was arrested in April 25 times. 25 times. And then the 2 following Saturdays in May, she was arrested 7 times on one Saturday and 4 on another for stealing, for trespassing. Finally, they put her in jail. And the problem is that our police officers, they can't just put her in a holding cell and leave her. Someone has to stay with her. So we had an officer stay with her for 7 hours. While we waited for court time.
I'm sure that officer had nothing better to do,
right? Wow. So those are the situations that we're up against. And we as a community, as a county, because I know Swanton and Enosbury, everyone's going through it. Yeah. We need to be more vigilant about this and, in my opinion, get back to the way it used to be, where if you were issued a warrant and you didn't show up for court, then you were arrested and put in jail until you could be brought up on that warrant. Wow. And I'm excited for the panel. We have Judge Greg Rainville We have State's Attorney Bram Crutchfield, myself, Mike McCarthy, representing the legislature,
Got your police chief, of course.
Police Chief Mo Lamont, and then Samantha, who's the NCSS outreach, mental health
That
outreach.
sounds like an excellent panel.
And I think people will learn about the system and hopefully start demanding some changes about how we got to this
Wow.
point.
Well, speaking of police, it's easy to think that in just a short couple weeks or so, St. Albans City Police back in St.
Right.
Albans Town. Staffing, are you comfortable with staffing? That's
Let me back up a second.
maybe ever comfortable with
Yeah, right.
staffing.
Let me back up a second. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of the things I'm discussing here is that petty theft, that type of stuff.
Yeah,
But along with that is the drug issue. There's
Yeah.
no doubt.
which hangs over everything.
hangs
it
over
seems
everything, hangs over every community. We have, when you talk about the police force, we're going back to the street crimes unit, which,
Right.
in my opinion, made a huge difference
like.
4 or 5 years ago. We're going back to that. We haven't quite pinned down who those officers and detectives will be, so
Mhm.
there's a little bit of a void there. But we are going to get back to that. And, everyone knows where the drug places are in town.
Yeah.
We just raided another one on Diamond Street the other day. And it's that type of stuff that we need to continue to do.
Yeah.
And push those individuals and hopefully arrest them and get them to jail.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I think sometimes you hear that there's no room in the jails.
Yeah.
But I just read an article about Vermont Corrections doing a strategic plan, which concerns me a little bit as to what it looks like, whether they're trying to clearing out the prisons or whatnot. But right now, they did have, at the time of the strategic plan, they had 30% vacancy in state prison, and now it's 15%.
Really.
So we have room to incarcerate some of these individuals.
Even though we send X number, I think maybe a few hundred
Right.
of our inmates out of state, but anyway.
Yep. So I think we have the availability to do it. We need to have policies in place to allow for that, to put them in jail, at least for a few days
Yeah.
till they're brought up. So it's a daunting task for sure, and it's not just one fix. It's going to be a bunch of initiatives for
Yeah.
sure. So
You reasonably comfortable again with City PD about to cover St. Albans Town again?
yeah, I think like I said, I think if we get the street crimes unit in place, I think we're. But
Yeah.
with that said, I don't think when we talked about doing this that the level of crime wasn't nearly what it is now. So
Yeah.
the police will be hard pressed to be everywhere for sure.
For some years back, they had some, I don't know, were they cadets or rangers that would like patrol Taylor Park?
Yeah.
Is that any of those folks?
Yeah, those were Park Patrol.
Park Patrol.
I don't know if we have any lined up at this point.
Yeah.
The conversation's come up, and I don't know that we had a definitive answer to
Yeah.
that. But yeah, they were sort of eyes and ears in the park and
Yeah.
watching, and that's going to be my message tonight is that not parents, but residents need to be that, right?
Yeah.
If you see someone breaking into a car, make the
Yeah.
call. If you see someone if you're in a Walgreens and someone's shoplifting,
Yeah.
make sure people know, and we'll see what we can, we
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah, the incident with my car going back some months, no huge deal, but a little disconcerting,
Yeah.
obviously. I gave City PD the info on that for what that's worth. Yeah, no, it's
we haven't seen stats on the number of calls. That's probably something we're going to want here soon.
yeah,
A number of calls, and what are they?
yeah.
And the question is how many people actually call if they do haven't, if someone steals a lawn chair off a deck or something.
Right.
Are people calling the police and notifying them of that, or are they
Right.
just absorbing it?
Right.
I think someone mentioned the police on the Facebook said bring your furniture in every night and lock it.
Really?
That's not where we want to be,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's not St. Albans. You shouldn't have to bring in your lawn furniture every
Yeah.
night because we're worried about someone. We need to address the issue. So I, for one, will push. I think the total council, our council's on board with it.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to hopefully show up tonight and have a good conversation.
Right. And of course, as City PD is about to take over in St. Albans Town, you won't be dealing with Highgate anymore. So
Right.
as of July 1st, we're getting very close to the end of the fiscal year. Tim, is the city just about to end the fiscal year in decent financial shape?
As far as I know, we didn't discuss that at the last meeting, but I think we're fine.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of site work going on these days at the old Fonda Solo site. Is that Cathedral Square related?
Cathedral Square has broken ground for their 34 senior apartments.
Huh.
And so that's exciting. They're putting the road in, which so there's an access road for the entire property. Along with that will be the rail trail connector coming down from Main Street to Federal.
Any work on that this summer, or not that soon?
Well, no, they're starting to dig up. I think they've removed some of the tracks already.
Really?
I'm not sure if it's going to be completed all the way to Main Street, but
Is the access into the Railroad Dispatch Center, is that right there too, or am I missing? Is there another access into that?
no, this road that's being constructed now will access the rail center.
Okay.
Yeah. So that we received a separate grant from that, if I remember right, and that's going to be so the access road will connect. Hopefully, the next all developments will be off that access road.
Okay. Any passport agency news since we last talked?
Well, 17th Monday was the date of submission for interested
Oh yeah.
sites.
Huh.
I think my skepticism with GSA, and I think they're pushing for an Essex or Chittenden County site.
So you're not hugely optimistic?
I'm not optimistic.
Is that right? Really?
No, it's
Wow.
and I think we're presenting 3 sites,
including Gil Tabor Complex. The old,
that was left up. I notified the owner, made him aware of the request for proposals, and I think they were working through it. I have not confirmed whether they did actually submit a proposal, and then the city had 2 that we were looking at.
Wow, but not optimistic, huh?
I'm not. No, based on what we've seen with INS or the adjudication center, and then this, I don't. They're going to do what they want to do.
Wow.
And I don't think you don't have Leahy anymore. I'm not sure that.
And you've certainly been in touch, obviously, with congressional delegation.
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate to have Michelle Monroe with Senator Welch. I mean, Michelle's worked hard on this for sure.
Yeah.
And so we probably should follow up with her for sure. But she's been a huge advocate for St. Albans. And we'll see if that pays any dividends.
Interesting. This wouldn't be a move that would happen quickly, or is that just hard?
Yeah, 2026, I think. So 2 years out.
Yeah.
So
a little discouraging. I guess obviously not the best news for the city and for folks who like going out to restaurants, but off the rails didn't make it.
Off the rails didn't materialize like
and
we
that was a pretty significant city investment in that.
Yeah, but what I'd like to share is that the theory's panning out, right? The thought has always been, if we invest in the buildings, the turnover is going to be a lot easier. Not that we want any turnover, but we already have 2 discussions going on regarding that, because they know that the facility is in good shape. It's modern equipment.
And they did obviously a lot of work before they opened to just modernize it and stuff.
So and that's sort of been the premise for the investment in the downtown buildings is when someone does move out, it's easier to attract new business instead of having a vacant site.
Yeah.
And this is proving to be true with off the rails. Two interested parties, a little bit different structures, or format for what the restaurant would be, but so we're optimistic that could both could turn around. Norrish is another one, same thing, and there's been interested parties in Norrish as well.
Oh yeah.
So so we'll see where they both go, but I think we get criticized a lot for those investments, but I think in the long run it'll pay off because we're going to be able to turn those around. Yeah,
and of course you have another one coming across from City Hall with
with Adam Annette from the culinary.
What's the time frame? Is that a ways?
September.
Oh yeah, so not.
Yeah. Well, it used to seem to be a ways away, but not anymore, I guess. But and once again, same scenario that the investments in the building. Yeah. And if Adam were to leave and his team, then it's fit up for another type of restaurant.
Because people, I get questions from folks. Richard, why is the city throwing all this money into some of these businesses that don't make it? But
well, you never know who's going to make it. Right?
All I know about the restaurant business is what a tough business. That's all I know.
No doubt.
I can't imagine dealing with that business.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, my father ran father and
I guess
uncle.
You know a little bit about the restaurant.
We know what it takes.
How many years for the?
I think it was 32.
Right, that's unbelievable.
So so our family has a feel for what it takes to be successful at running a business. But what a lot of people don't understand is the city was paying rent as part of that project. Yeah. We had to take on that space and pay the rent to make the numbers work. We can either continue to pay rent on a vacant space, or we can invest in it and bring in a business that's going to pay the rent. Yeah. So we're going to be, even though it sounds like a lot of money, it is a lot of money. Yeah. We're going to be, the city will be, made whole might not be the right word, but we will be relieved of paying debt on a vacant space. Yeah. And that's one of those situations that that building, the space would be vacant if we didn't commit as a community. So we'll see how that pans out.
With official summer just a couple of days away, health of downtown, how would you assess health of downtown as we head into summertime?
I think it's stable. Yeah. I think, you had the Mexican restaurant move out of the shopping center down. I think you had the Little, the baby kid store, which heard a lot of good reports on. And then, like I said, negotiations on Norrish, and you had a candy store and golf simulator open up on Kingman Street. So I think all in all, it's we had some great events in April and May. Yeah. Between.
I took note. The Pride event was a much bigger deal. I was on Taylor Park that day and wandered around a bit, but I had no idea that was going to be that big an event, which seemed to go over pretty well.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I heard a lot of good reports. Yeah. You had the Eclipse. You had the Maple Festival. You had Green Up Day was a success. You had I thought the turnout for Memorial Day. So a lot of people have been downtown. Kingman Fest got a little wet, but I think people withstood that and hung her out.
And we've got Taylor Park concerts again, taping the show on Tuesday, June 18, Wednesday, June 19, the first of many Wednesday concerts.
So a lot of activity downtown. I think the restaurants and the shops have benefited from that. So I think overall it's as good as we can expect.
Yeah, I think we have. I did finally get around to interviewing the city manager for the first time a while back, but I guess he had news about buses. So buses, and again, Jim Levy, as we talked about a dogged guy, but sounds like Jim gave this a lot of effort. But I think June 19th is the first day, or I thought that's what I heard before. Is that still the case, or has that changed? Do you know?
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
right?
yeah. Again, we're taping this show on June 18, but June 19.
Yeah, I thought it was early
June.
July, but
but
I may be wrong.
soon
yeah,
anyway.
soon for sure. And big thanks to Jim Levy. I mean, he
City
made the
manager
contacts.
had high praise for him.
Yeah, he built the relationships, and so for those who don't know, Greyhound will be making 2 stops here a day. One, actually, it may be 4. 2 for buses leaving Montreal and going to Boston, and then 2 from Boston. A couple of times aren't ideal; they're early morning, but still.
But basically, talking about Boston and Montreal. With,
right.
Wow.
So you can jump a Greyhound bus to Boston if you chose, and which I got to believe would be a nice piece for some of the college students to can't always get a ride home.
And the bus is going to be stopping along Taylor Park somewhere.
Yeah, where the other buses stop. There's a marked off space pretty much across from Kingman Street.
Okay.
Right there. There's no parking, so they can pull in there. And then my guess is they loop around the park and head back towards the interstate.
Huh.
So,
Wow. To get such good news about the Amtrak Vermonter one of these days. In fact, boy, it's funny, Amtrak getting some grief now on the other side of the lake, of course, with the Adirondack.
Right.
I'm sure you've been following that story, but they've had just a lot of trouble continuing the service from Saranac Lake to Montreal. And then they got suspended again. Gary Douglas, the chamber chief over there, going crazy. But the Amtrak saying, well, it's a CN issue. They have to work on the tracks this summer. Yeah. And CN says, no, that's not the case. The tracks are fine. So I don't know what Amtrak, I haven't heard a response from Amtrak after Canadian National said, no, it's not us doing this. So kind of a strange story.
Finger pointing.
I don't know if it's just a lack of traffic or whatever.
Yeah. So
anyway, down to about 7 minutes. What do you want to get into, Mr. Mayor? Anything we haven't talked about that deserves some publicity here? Boy, maybe flashing down to Montpelier. Not a good day for Governor Phil Scott yesterday. The veto session. I guess just one of his vetoes was sustained. And I guess Richard Westman, I just heard a reference to this morning. I guess, and I'm not sure what the other issue was, but it looked like he was going to just barely sustain another issue, and then Richard Westman, the longtime Republican senator from Lamoille County, I guess had a change of heart, and Governor not happy, calling it not a sad day for me, a sad day for Vermonters with the yield bill, of course, with the almost 14% increase and. Yeah. Of course, had his veto been sustained, it's not clear to me what would have happened with that. And there were some folks saying, no, you can't veto. If you veto that bill, all heck breaks loose. So I'm not clear on that. But
yeah, I wasn't clear on that. I would say that the one that I followed and was somewhat surprised that a lot of people was Dick Mazza's replacement, Andy Julo, who is a colleague of mine. He's a Regional Development Corporation director.
You know Andy.
I know Andy.
Of course, a candidate for Mazza's seat now also, who was picked by the governor to succeed.
But he was thrown into the fire.
Right.
So he voted no against the drug.
Oh, the injection
sites, and which surprised a number of. And so when he did that brought it below the 2/3, and then Westman came up with his scheme, if you will, to make it work. But Andy was thrown right in, so I don't think he made any Democratic friends early on.
Yeah.
And I haven't spoken to him, and I did not speak to him as to why he went that route, and maybe. But the things I had read was that his colleagues in the State House were taken aback by.
Interesting. I think that's going to be a tough race for him. I think Republicans, not that Dick Mazza was some liberal Democratic senator or anything, but Representative Brennan from Colchester, who's been a long time, I think, House Transportation Committee chair. He's in that race in Colchester, obviously easily the most numbers in that district. I would think that would be a tough race for Andy Julo.
Yeah, and Andy has stated that himself, that, the Islands has 6,000 voters and Colchester itself has 18,000 residents or whatever it is. So he recognizes that, and he'll have his work cut out for him. And
Yeah.
I got to believe some of his constituents may not have been happy with his vote,
Yeah.
even though I agree with it, but
Yeah.
I'm not one of his
For
constituents.
the Senate, again, the death of Dick Mazza followed, a week later by the
Dick
death
Sears.
of Dick Sears. And then some real veteran, Bobby Starr, not running again. Boy, the Senate, talk about
Yeah.
losing an unbelievable amount of institutional knowledge here.
And same with the, it's not Kitty Toll, it was.
No, Senator Kitchell, Jane.
Oh, right, yeah,
Kitchell.
yeah. Kitty,
Right,
Kitty
another-
retired before.
Right, her sister.
Her sister, yeah.
Yeah, Senator Kitchell too, just a key
Yeah.
legislator. Boy, that's just losing a lot of experience, whatever.
Yeah.
Boy, speaking of elections, I've been up here, hate to say it, I suppose, almost half a century now. This is going to be the quietest November election locally I've ever dealt with by far. We have, for just local legislative seats, no primary contests, and I think just, unless some independents, I guess you might see some independents, I think maybe still have time to jump in, but just 2 November elections at this point with the Enosburg, Montgomery seat, Penny DeMar has a challenger, and
Yeah.
Casey Toof with Zach Scheffler, who used to work here.
Right.
But at this point, just 2 contests out of 13 local, legislative seats, Senators Brock and all the incumbents running for re-election. And statewide, boy, what a...
Yeah, no,
I suspect the presidential election will get just a little attention in November. I'm kidding. It's going to be, that's the story. But statewide, none of the incumbents. I guess I'll pay a little attention to Lieutenant Governor with John Rogers, the former Democratic senator from the Kingdom, running as a Republican, with David Zuckerman running again. And he's got, I guess, a primary opponent with the deputy mayor maybe of Winooski,
yeah.
Renner, but it just sounds like statewide. And geez, Phil Scott, I mean, basically, I'm talking about a free ride, basically.
Yeah, I think, Zuckerman always carries Chittenden County. And
Yeah, he's got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it's a tough nut to crack,
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't think.
so he'll be there again, I'm sure.
But gee, this will really be the quietest local and statewide election since I've been around here. Anyway, but sounds like good summer coming up for the city. We talked about a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah, and the Bay Park has all their activities as well. The farmers market, the Bay Day.
I guess Bay Day is
race.
Saturday, July 6th with July 4th, 2 days beforehand. Sounds like that makes sense.
Yeah, and so they have some great activities as well. They've done a great job with the park down there. Our park looks great. Once again, shout out to Kelly and Keith Wakefield for all the flowers and everything they do. It's nothing earth-shattering, but it should be a standard summer, we hope.
Yeah, sounds like a good summer.
It'll be a better summer if we can get our hands and arms around the petty crimes and the shoplifting.
Yeah, it sounds like that's a biggie right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's our priority. I mean, we really, the whole council is discouraged with what has developed.
Oh.
We've tried to do some things to solve the problem, but we still have a long ways to go, and we'll continue to work with the resources out there.
Yeah.
So,
city reappraisal, that's in the works. Is that getting close at all?
No, I mean the expectation is June 1, or excuse me, April 1. April 1.
April 1.
Yeah. So, they got a lot of work ahead of them, and hopefully it'll be in place for the next school budget.
Interesting. Well, it sounds like a good summer. Hopefully the heat wave. Hopefully we won't lose anybody.
No.
Official. Heat advisory again today on Tuesday, June 18th. Sounds like 3 pretty hot days, but then things cool off. But hopefully we've got a good summer coming up. Thanks to St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith.
You're welcome, Richard.
Appreciate the time. And it sounds like you're even being more accessible than the Burlington mayor, I hear, to the media these days. Probably nobody's giving you meals, so I'm afraid.
Yeah, the meal train hasn't come through yet.
Anyway, thanks to, I think I got Alan Cunningham back there, Paul Snyder. Thanks to the key folks getting us on the air. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. We'll see you next time here on Northwest Access TV. See ya.